I see you're working within the same paradigm of chasing for something on the outside, hoping it makes a difference on the inside. Hi, I'm Dr. Joe Vitale. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to Lux Media Studios. Hello and welcome. You've landed on Zero Limits Living. I'm Dr. Joe Vitale. Every week I bring you inspiration and information to transform your life. This show is now so popular you could hear it or watch it on 1,000 platforms across the galaxy, including Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, Spotify, and anything you can name it, probably anything you're using. To make this easy for you, I'm putting all the shows in one place. I think this is episode 102. So 102 episodes will be at ZeroLimitsLivingTV.com. Go there, sign up to be notified when new shows come out. ZeroLimitsLivingTV.com. People ask about coaching. I trademarked my own coaching program 20 years ago. It's a system that's proven to work, but don't take my word for it. Go to miraclescoaching.com and find out for yourself. No charge, no obligation. Miraclescoaching.com. My latest program is called Mental Time Travel System. Just go to mentaltimetravelsystem.com, put on your helmet, fasten your seatbelt, and enjoy the ride. My latest book is called Unexpected Kindness. You can go to unexpectedkindnessbook.com. Audio version, hardcover, printed, Kindle, it's all available for you now. My new book will be coming out in July 2024, and it is the fourth in a series of books about Ho'oponopono. And you may know about that if you've been watching or listening to this show. If not, check out Zero Limits Living, the new book, same title as the show, Zero Limits Living. You can pre-order it right now wherever you buy books. Now, let's jump into our episode because I'm here to help you. This is an act of kindness to make a difference in your life. And my guest does this as an act of kindness as well. I don't get paid. They don't get paid. We're doing this to help you. One of the things you want, it may be the primary thing you want and the only thing you really want, but you follow the illusion of thinking other things will get you to it. And that one thing is happiness. Well, guess what? I found the Happiness Handbook. The Happiness Handbook is absolutely fantastic. The subtitle says, A Practical Guide to Transforming Your Life. A practical guide to transforming your life. The Happiness Handbook, and what's better than me holding the book? I've got the author here. The author is Landon Carter, and he's in the house. Landon, how are you?
I am very well. Thank you, Joe, for that wonderful introduction. That's
It's
great.
all true. It's all you. I really appreciate you saying yes. We don't know each other. We've never met. I followed you in the S group on forum. I bought your book because of your mention in the S group. Read the book, loved the book, and then saw you were doing classes and stuff. So I reached out to you and said, I wonder if he'd say yes to an interview. So here we are.
Here we are.
You said you're doing wonderful and you like that introduction I gave you, but it wasn't always that way. According to your book, around 1971, you were doing pretty good in terms of what society would look at in terms of success, the way most people would define it. But internally, I don't think that was the case. Can you tell me a little about that?
Yeah, that's interesting because I was thinking about that prior to this show. Because it's kind of interesting because at some level, I was kind of like a silver spoon in my mouth kid, you know. I mean, I had my when I was the last kid chosen for sports, and I couldn't read, and beaten up by the big kids, and one of those typical growing up things.
Right.
But
relate to it all too well.
Yeah.
Yes.
But for the most part, I had done very well, and at 28 and this 1971, I was. I had a condominium on the ski slope. I was, I had everything that you would think is at least one of the elements of a successful life. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, I kind of felt like I was like I hadn't gotten what the promise was. And it was like it was empty. the things I had accomplished and the things that I had just seemed so empty. And I just couldn't figure out, what's wrong? I mean, how come it hasn't worked out kind of like the
Mm.
happily ever
Right.
after at the
Right.
end of the movies,
Yeah.
and I was quite desperate. I even went to a therapist, and he said, "Well, okay, let's talk about your mother and father." And I said, "I don't think this guy knows anything." I mean, and I paid him the for that hour, and then I read Paramahansa Yogananda's book.
Oh, I'm a big
Uh,
look at right here. This is Yogananda right on my desk.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
autobiography of a yogi, and
Yes.
he had passed away by that time. And I started taking some of his courses, but it was like still it was like I was
Mhm.
reaching, but at least I seemed like I was exploring a whole area that I hadn't explored before. Because kind of as you kind of, I mean, along with having gone to Andover and Yale and Harvard Business School and captain
Yeah.
teams, and I'd done the things that everybody was saying, oh, well, man, that's the right stuff. And then I ran into Satya Sai Baba, a book. And I'm not kidding. It was amazing because it's like the words just jumped out at me.
Mm.
Now, I hadn't been smoking dope. I hadn't been, no, not on drugs or anything like that. It was like just one of those moments. And I thought, well, I'll go. And I had the thought of, I wonder, it's interesting because I told my mother I was going to go to India, and I said, I don't care how long it takes. I'll sit in a cave. I'll do whatever it takes. And she was crying, going, "What about all that expensive education?"
Right. Right.
I
And
and
what
I
what was
went
your
up.
answer to that?
Yeah, and I thought, you know what? Suppose I'd been a soldier when Jesus was around, and they said, "Oh, this dude over the hill is walking on water and manifesting things." And would I have been at the bar having another drink, or would I have gone over to see if
Yeah.
what was real? And apparently, at that, my reading, Sai Baba was materializing things, and it turns out I ended up talking to somebody he'd raised from the dead when I
Mm.
got there. He'd
Wow.
been dead for 3 days. And I talked to him and his wife and about that whole experience. And he materialized stuff and healed people. And I was like, whoa, this is pretty powerful. And it shifted everything at that point.
Mhm.
Now, I can't say that I certainly didn't get enlightened. Although I tried really hard,
Right.
sitting in Padmasana for hour after hour and, doing hours of meditation and things like that. But I was, in a sense, I was grasping for enlightenment
Mhm.
in the same paradigm that everybody's going after money or going after accomplishments, etc.
This
And
is
I
interesting.
hadn't figured that part out yet.
Yeah, but explain that for a second. Believe me, we only have 25 minutes together, and I already know I need a day and a half at least. But when you say you were exploring enlightenment and spirituality within the same paradigm that
Yeah.
you had explored and sought and achieved success, can
Yeah.
you
Which is
explain that a little bit? I think I have a whisper of what you mean, but I want to make sure
Well,
everybody
it's like
understands.
well, all of us buy into a belief that says the outside world creates our internal experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so then if I accomplish this, or if I do this, or if I have this, right, then I'll be happy.
Mm.
And that meant, well, where am I right now? Where I am right now is unhappy, quote, motivated to become happy by doing this or having this or accomplishing that, right?
Yeah. I hear
So
a trap.
enlightenment became the accomplishment that was going to solve my unhappiness.
Yeah.
Remember, I was deeply
Yeah.
unhappy. I'm in
Yeah.
Aspen, Colorado,
Yeah.
doing all the right stuff, having the right job, everything. I had all the stuff. And I was going, wow, if I have all this stuff, I'm not happy. But so then I go after enlightenment with the same kind of
Yeah.
intensity.
It's the new stuff.
It's the
In
new
yeah,
stuff.
the
Exactly.
enlightenment becomes the new dollar sign, the new award, the new outside badge of honor. So I see you're working within the same paradigm of chasing for
Exactly.
something on the outside, hoping it makes a difference on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Now,
go ahead.
yeah, okay. Now it did make a huge shift because as you mentioned, the S graduates, et cetera. I
Yeah.
became an S trainer, and
Mhm.
and there was a lot of learning there. And I certainly evolved in that process of teaching what we were teaching. But I didn't have, now, do I have the complete answer right now? No, but I have a complete answer that's different than it was in 1970s.
Yes, I got
So,
it.
so
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I gotta stop you again because I know what est is, and I know est trainers, and I got my own love affair with est, and, geez, I can tell you about est and how it's benefited so many people, including me. But most people right now don't know what est is or
yeah.
was.
Okay, so it was a human potential movement
Mhm.
seminar in the 70s.
Yep.
It was kind of at the time when there was a lot of kind of upheaval of confrontational groups, and
Mhm.
and all sorts of stuff that was happening. And S was one of them. LifeSpring was another of the trainings that came out at the time to say, look, you can have a life that that works, more health, more happiness, more self-expression, more
Mhm.
love, health, happiness, and self-expression. Yeah, oh, okay, I want that, people would say. Then they would go through this process of weekend trainings, and I invented the advanced course of that, which
Oh.
was called the 6-day course, where we took people away for 6 days and took the next level up.
Oh,
Uh,
I didn't know about that one.
yeah, and people got a huge amount of value out of it. People still write me and say thank you, and I say, well, I'm glad I'm glad you got value out of it, because
Right.
I certainly do. I was doing. I was kind of like, in that case, you might say, I would, that time in India when I was with Satya Sai Baba
Mhm.
and seeing all that stuff, and etc. It was kind of the expression of that in a jnana yoga format, which is using the mind against the mind.
Ah.
There's several yogic traditions. I won't go through all that, but
Yeah.
this is the kind of the dangerous one, the one that you got to watch out for, because what happens is, once you get the information and the knowledge, sometimes you just reinforce your own ego with it rather than use it against yourself. You
Right.
use it to justify your opinion or whatever the hell it
Yeah.
is, you
Yeah.
know, in making the other person wrong and you right.
I think the worst ego of all is what's called the spiritual ego. And the spiritual ego is when you have an ego, but you've brought on enough spirituality or the knowledge of it to think that you're better than your own ego and certainly better than everybody else's ego. And the grand sad irony is you're still an ego.
Exactly.
You're still
Exactly.
locked down.
Exactly.
In your book, The Happiness Handbook, you have a
Yeah.
section in there where you talk about thoughts. And I
Yeah.
folded back that page as well as many other pages because you had said if you believe you're not your thoughts or you're generating your thoughts, go ahead and turn them off.
Yeah.
And I think that's I wanted to bring it up because I want people to be aware that and I don't want to put words in your mouth. What do you think is going on? Why do we have thoughts at all, especially when the thoughts can be almost demonic? They
Yeah.
can
Okay.
keep us from our good. They can certainly keep us from being happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Where are these
So,
thoughts coming from?
yeah,
And
okay.
can
So
we turn them off?
let me let me kind of recontextualize the question. It's
Sure.
a very good question.
Good.
And I'm kind of conscious of our time, so I want to see if I
Me
can.
too.
It's a little more complete. So, see, thoughts are part of the dualistic the reality that we live in. This incredible reality that in which of duality, which means there's this
Mm,
and there's what's not this.
mhm.
And you could identify everything. Well, anyway, you get the point.
Yes.
Then there's who we are as the non-dual awareness that's present right now as you're listening to me, that has no form, yet it is the creative energy. And I mean, it never stops being the total creative energy that in a sense is creating. Not only is it animating our body, but it also is creating our entire reality. It's like this, it flowing out.
Mm.
And the thoughts are the first form. Plato talked about this, but the thoughts are the first form of this dualistic reality. And therefore they're very much a part of us. And of course, at one level, you need thought, because thought then becomes words, and words then and it goes into actions, and actions then create results, right? So we've created a huge, a fantastic world of we're not cavemen anymore.
Right.
So all of that's come from the thoughts out, Einstein and Niels Bohr and and all of the people that Edison, that have created stuff. Right now, the problem becomes that you end up not yourself as the aware witness consciousness with total creativity and ability to be whatever you are in this moment only, not in the past, not in the future. They don't exist. But what happens is we get identified. This is one of our major mistakes, besides the other one about the outside world creates my internal experience. The other major mistake is we start identifying this who I am with this thing called Landon or Joe or whoever's listening, whatever your name is. And what happens is we lose our creative ability. We become this programmed entity with a huge amount of reaction and automaticity that, in a sense, is not dedicated to happiness. It's dedicated to survival.
Exactly.
Now,
how
do you reverse that?
How do you reverse this? Yes.
So the only way I know, and this is, and Ramana Maharshi said, you ask a question of who am I, and everything that comes up in your mind, you say not that. Well, that's one way of detaching from it. Not bad, but I think it's more useful to kind of see yourself in action. Like, how am I showing up? In other words, you have to start to have some witness.
Yeah.
You have to have so you have to start to see yourself rather than just be yourself.
Believing Before Seeing, a new bestseller by Candace Barr. Order your copy today.
I love that saying right there. You have to start seeing yourself rather than just being yourself.
Exactly.
So is that like pretending there's a camera on both of us right now because we're making a show?
Yeah.
So is it a little bit like that
we are a little bit like that? I often say just get about another foot behind your head.
Yeah.
And rather than operating from here out, operate from here out. So this thing called Landon and how I'm speaking and whatever I'm thinking and all that, it is part of what I'm seeing in the world.
Yeah.
And then I can start to see my automaticity, the button gets pushed, I get reactivated, I get annoyed and angry, I get hurt, or then I get annoyed and angry, and I blame the person out there. No, that's got creativity turned around backwards. Like they're creating what they said made me angry. Sorry. No. Oh, I feel like I'm victimized. Well, wait a minute. You're creating being a victim and having a victim reality. You're still the creator. You're just creating the wrong character here in the play.
So if I'm understanding correctly, I'm pretending that my consciousness, my awareness is a foot or two behind my head here.
That's
and
a start.
I'm
That's a
observing.
start. Ultimately, it's everything. But
Yes, but to go with what you started here and follow that train ride, I'm a foot or two behind. I got the lens looking at Joe. So Joe is being watched by Joe. And if you, for example, say something insulting to me, I could look at what I'm doing to even call it an insult, to give it meaning, to process. So this
Yeah, that's a
detachment
start. That's
is
the
giving
start.
me, yeah, this is what I think you're going for. But I'm also aware that this is called the happiness handbook. And I think what I'm looking for is the happiness shortcut, because I want to get there right now. And I imagine, and again,
Okay.
I'm aware of time and all that, which is a philosophical concept in itself. We can probably talk about it at some point. But if there's somebody, again, I'm paying attention to the people that tune in. I want to help them. If they're
Yeah.
sitting there and they're unhappy because they're broke or they're depressed or they're uncertain or they're confused, how do we give them the happiness handbook in a nutshell, in
Okay.
a
Well, there,
fortune cookie, in a shortcut?
I understand. I understand. I
Yeah,
wish it was quite that simple, but I will
yeah.
tell you that where the start is, and you can always come back to this centered position. Now, this is Buddha 2,600 years ago. You have to accept things exactly the way they are.
Mm,
So he's saying they do it in Buddhism slightly different. Just stop grasping for what you don't have and stop aversion or pushing away what you do have. But it's all has to do with resisting the way things are.
mhm.
So if you just were to, if you're unhappy, if you just ask, what am I resisting? That's a start. And could I accept that? Could I let my go? Michael Singer talks sometimes about,
Mhm.
yeah, the low hanging fruit. And he says, somebody cuts you off in traffic. Wait a minute. Can I just let that go and not get upset about it? That just happened. And you can look at when you look at this moment of now and you bring it down to the nanosecond, you can't change anything. So you better start with at that level of acceptance. You can be happy all the time because that's you. I'm in this world. I'm in this adventure. I can't change anything, but oh my God, talk about a movie, a 3D movie that I'm even in, however you want to contextualize it,
Right, right. I
in
love
this
it.
very nanosecond of now, which is the only reality that we have. You can't change anything. So you
Okay.
might as well accept it. And if you can accept it, then you can be happy. It's only the resisting it that makes us unhappy.
This is a
Now,
this is a big one, Landon. When people, right now, I'm imagining somebody went to work and there was an envelope on their desk from the company or the boss, and it says, "It's your last day." And they're devastated. They're cratering. They're responding to this in the most negative way because they got the rent to pay, they got to buy groceries, they got 2 kids and another one on the way. No end in sight, just got divorced. I mean, I'm painting the worst case picture, but there are people who have gotten that envelope. And in that moment, it's pretty difficult to go, "Hey, this is gleeful, and I got a
no, not
picture."
gleeful. Now,
Go
that's
ahead.
just careful
Oh,
here. Gotta be
that's good.
really
That's good.
careful
Thank you.
here because you have your natural reaction with that person,
Mhm,
that you
mhm.
described is going to have their natural reaction. And the most kind thing you could ever do is reach over and hold their shoulder and say, okay, I understand. I get
This
it.
is good. Yeah.
See, if I really understand and get it, I've helped them accept this current situation, which is the starting point for whatever they then want to do.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. People have situations, all of us, you got to look into yourself. All of us have situations where we feel devastated and whatever it is. And at that point, most people feel hopeless. They feel like a victim.
Yeah.
So they give up at that point
Ah,
their ability to choose to
mm,
the whole possibility of what's possible. So you take that same person and you say, okay, this is the way it is. Let's get it. Get it. You've lost your job. You've got no money. You're whatever, divorce, whatever the heck the thing is. At least it's a starting point. Let's talk about it in terms of exactly where are you exactly right now? Now, how much of that can you let be? Now, once you get that this is where you are, rather than being a victim of the circumstances, and I don't mean blaming yourself for them. No, cut all that out because that just makes you more unhappy. What I mean is now, wait a minute. Rather than being a victim of it and a victim of your own feelings, remember that's part of that my own feelings, reaction to the world, right? That's just part of it. We're being a victim of, but people become a victim of their own feelings because they say that's the way I am, and I can't help myself, and poor me, etc. So they go, you go, wait a minute. I understand that those are all legitimate feelings, but don't give up the possibility of what you can do about it. Because in this moment, you can do anything. You could go, oh, poor me, or you could go, wait a minute, okay, what could I do in the realm of money? Well, maybe I could go out and call a few people or ask, but whatever, there's a whole possibility of things you could do to, quote, start to solve that problem.
Yeah. I'm glad I asked because that's a great definition. We have like a minute or so left here, so I have to say a couple things. First of all, I'm very frustrated, but I'm looking at that because I want more time with you. Second of all, I didn't ask, and I think it's worth asking, what is your definition of happiness? Well, happiness handbook. What's your definition?
So it goes from contented to ecstatic. Mm-hmm. It's the whole range of anything of, oh, I'm at peace. Oh, this is fine. I'm cruising along. That's the beginning. And then up through all of the realms of joy and ecstasy and, then anything below that is, quote, in the realm of unhappiness. Now, some of those unhappy things, I think you should be happy about. If you had a friend die and you weren't sad, you should be unhappy about that because you haven't really allowed your feelings to be there. So if somebody dies, sadness is fine. But is sadness fine all the time or in situations where, okay, no. And the same thing for, feeling justified, kind of a justifiable anger. And then you go, well, I'm going to do something about that. Fine. That was I'm using my emotions in an appropriate, positive way to make a difference in the world or to create some good rather than bad.
You are amazing. You have depths of experience and knowledge and wisdom that I really want to tap. Meanwhile, I got to tell people, go get the Happiness Handbook. I know it's on Amazon. Probably, is there an audio version of it, Landon?
No, there isn't yet. I should do it, but and because I just put it out this middle of last year. But I will suggest that people go to my website, which is just LandonCarter.com.
LandonCarter.com.
And you can always contact me at LandonCarter.com. Well, it's in the book or it's on my website. It's on my email. I'll always answer questions. I'd love to interact. I'm hitting 81 this month. And
good for you. You look great.
And I only have one thing that I want. I want to contribute to others so that they have the life that they want, that they desire. And that's it. So that's where I am. I've got everything I want.
That is fantastic. And you're contributing to me. You're contributing to everybody watching or listening. You're contributing through your books. And this isn't your only book. I saw other books listed.
No, I've got a whole bunch of them. Living Awake and the Awakened Relationship. And my wife and I wrote Falling in Love Backwards.
This is amazing. Thank you very much for saying yes. I know you didn't know me or anything. You didn't know where this was going, but you made a big difference in my life and by extension, all these other folks. So thank you very much. I want to ask you one more question until they pull the plug on me. I'm going to sneak another one in. Is your definition of, let me put it this way. What is your definition of enlightenment? I'm tempted to say it's a state of stable happiness or contentment, but that's
not bad. That's not bad.
What is your definition?
I would say, first of all, the enlightenment, you can have enlightenment experiences where you all of a sudden get who you are, that you're the space, you're the awareness, you're the presence, and that's never changed through your whole life. regardless of how old
Yeah.
you were, etc. And as you die, hopefully you'll be awake to yourself. So I think an enlightenment at this point in my experiences is kind of like how present can I be? How awake can I be? How mindful can I be? Those are all parts of, because it requires it. And you see, here's the thing: enlightenment is not a big deal.
Right.
It's available to anybody in this moment. In this moment, you can know who you are. You're the presence. You're the awareness. You're not that character. You're what animates the character. And it's really great, because if you've been with somebody that dies, all of it, at one point they were there, and then next point they're not. That's just the body sitting there. And so anyway, that's the magic that we're a part of, is this whole creation of which this vital, energetic, becoming less so as I get older.
Well, you just went skiing for a few days, so I think you're still energetic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it again.
All right. Landon, thank you very much. I've been talking to Landon Carter. He wrote this book, The Happiness Handbook. Get it at Amazon. Go to his website, LandonCarter, landoncarter.com. You've been watching Zero Limits Living. I'm Dr. Joe Vitale. Every week I bring you inspiration and information to transform your life. You can see the show or listen to it on 1,000 platforms, or just go to ZeroLimitsLivingTV.com. Check out miraclescoaching.com, mentaltimetravel.system.com, unexpectedkindnessbook.com, my new book coming out soon, Zero Limits Living. I thank Nick in the studio, Candace Barr, for giving me the opportunity to do this, Lux Media, and all of you who make the time to be here. You're the ones awakening and bringing light to the world. I love you all. Expect miracles.
Thanks, Joe. It was
Thank
great.
you.